Nearly every judge bases their decisions off of the impacts that were presented in the round. In this video, we'll go over what an impact is, move on to the purpose of impact calculus, after finally looking at some of the key components to using this great tool. I'm Nico, and this is Debate Clash. An impact is simply the consequence or result of an action. For example, if I made the argument that we need to increase funding to education in order to prevent economic collapse, the impact would be preventing economic collapse. Likewise, if I made the argument that intervening within the Middle East would cause more civilian casualties, the impact would be innocent lives saved by not going in. It's the reason why your argument matters. If you're ever stuck trying to figure out what the impact to your argument is, simply ask yourself, why does this argument matter to me, to the world, to the United States, or any other specific organization? The impact is the reason why your argument matters. Now that you're familiar with what impacts are, we can delve into the actual calculus. Impact calc is generally seen at the very end of a debate round, in the final speeches. Instead of debating whose claims are true or false, impact calc compares the severity of the assumed consequences on either side of the debate. With impact calc, you're essentially saying, look, Judge, even if you believe their arguments, the consequences and impacts are still bigger on my side of the debate, thus resulting in a win for us. The sole purpose of impact calc is to make the judge's decision easy. Imagine you're a judge at the end of a round. The affirmative wins the argument that they prevent economic collapse. Meanwhile, the negative wins the argument that the affirmative kills 1,000 innocent civilians. You as a judge now get to decide, is it worth killing 1,000 innocent civilians in order to prevent the next Great Depression? You need to do the thinking for the judge. Make their decision as easy as it can be. Let the judge know that in this next Great Depression, more than 1,000 people are going to die, and that it's going to happen instantaneously, and that this is 100% guaranteed to happen. Do the thinking for the judge. There are three main elements to determining how big an impact is. The first is magnitude, followed by probability, and finally time frame. Now, magnitude is simply how big your impact is. How many people are affected? How severely are they affected? For example, if your opponent ran the impact environmental destruction and yours was human extinction, you would definitely want to let the judge know that more people are affected in your scenario and they're more severely affected in your scenario. Don't be afraid to make your impact as big as it can realistically get. If your argument is economic collapse, make sure you tell the judge that there's going to be people starving in the streets through the abolition of food stamps and welfare programs, how it destroys the quality of life for everyone in the United States, how maybe other countries are going to suffer because they're not getting any humanitarian aid from us. Second is probability, or risk as some know it. Nothing is guaranteed to happen. But your job as a debater is to make sure it sounds like your impact will definitely happen and your opponent's has no chance. Let them know the story of how your impact comes together and the links that are still upheld. And finally, time frame. Time frame is how quickly something happens. The reason people use it to weigh impacts is because it can actually change the outcome of your opponent's arguments. For example, if the topic was alternative energy, my opponent ran the argument that we need to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into solar panels so that in 10 years we can have a stable economy. I could argue that that initial investment of that many billions of dollars would cause the economy to collapse in the first place, and therefore we'd never recover. It changes the opponent's outcome. Don't be afraid to use these terms at actual debate tournaments. As a judge for any event, I love hearing, this is our magnitude, this is their magnitude. Ours is greater. This is our probability, this is their probability. Ours is greater. Do the work for me and do the work for every other judge that you encounter. Be sure to use impact calc to its fullest and have the best of luck at the next big tournament. If If you liked our video, hit subscribe and be sure to visit our website at debateandclash.com.